Hi, if you want to watch exclusive content with hot girls that you won't watch on YouTube, namely where Naruto roasts Kushina and Mikoto and many other hot girls without restrictions, then visit my Boosty channel at the link in the description. It's dark. It's dark and painful. How did this happen? Why didn't they believe me? I'm not guilty of anything. Then why? The blonde thought, lying on the floor in a pool of his own blood. Although he couldn't even be called a blonde, anyone who saw him now would definitely not be able to do that. All of the guy's hair was stuck together in clumps that were dark red. Dry blood. His once blue eyes saw no light anymore. Only the darkness that had swallowed their owner. Only this hell he was in now. Will this ever end? He asked himself. I'm tired. I never thought I'd dream of death so much. Unseeing eyes stared at the ceiling of the cell. Stop it, Naruto! The voice of the nine-tailed beast rang out. The bijou itself was going crazy from the pain that its host was feeling. Unexpectedly for itself, it tried to help this impudent boy, just to not feel this maddening pain and despair. Where is all your will? Have you already forgotten about your goal? Don't disappoint me, boy. I almost believe that you are not such a weakling. But it was all in vain. Naruto didn't hear the nine tails. He just really wanted to sleep. But Uzumaki knew as soon as he fell asleep, those who would hurt him again would come. He couldn't even tell how much time had passed since the guy had appeared here. Pull yourself together, you know what they want from you, the fox tried again. As soon as they break the seal which is already held together by a word of honor, you will die. And all your stupid dreams will disappear. I'm going to die, he thought indifferently, hearing the words of the nine-tailed fox. That means my suffering will end. At this thought, for the first time in a long time, a smile flashed across the boy's face. I wish it would come sooner. Damn fool. The nine-tailed one growled and fell silent. The dungeon door opened, letting several people inside. I like the way you look, Naruto. Blood suits you. Silence in response. Uzumaki only turned his head slightly in the direction from which the voice was heard. Well, I think it's time. Rejoice, Naruto, you will die for the good of our village, Danzo said with a grin. Take it away. Several pairs of hands picked him up and carried him in an unknown direction. Come on, Naruto, why aren't you trying to do anything? Stupid boy, who doesn't even know the value of life. It's a shame for me to have such a jailer. Even though Kyubi was growling, he was very worried. And oddly enough, not for himself, but for this stupid blonde. They placed his body on a large rock and took a few steps back due to the loss of his sight. Uzumaki's hearing had become very acute. One person, on the contrary, approached him closely. Danzo! Naruto immediately identified the person who approached. Only he smelled so disgustingly of some kind of healing ointment. Well, that's the end. I can tell you that I may even respect you a little. It took 9 months before you completely broke down. Well, and then we spent another month, let's say, consolidating the result. That means 10. The guy counted tiredly. 10 months of hellish torment. And Danzo did all of this just to extract the Kyubi. No one cares about me. Well, finally, I want to tell you what you always wanted to know. You wanted to know? Kami, I don't care about anything anymore, I just want to die. You asked Hiruzen so often who your parents were. And he just kept silent or changed the subject, didn't he? I'll tell you who they were. For your stubbornness, I think you deserved it. Although Naruto didn't see it, he was sure. Shimura was smirking, knowing that this would hurt him to the quick. And he was right. Well, in general, your mother's name was Uzumaki Kushina. By the way, she was the previous Jinchuriki. And your father, here Danzo made a long, dramatic pause, your father is Namake's Minato. He is also the 4th Hokage of this village. For Naruto, the world seemed to crumble into pieces. The 4th one is my father? He thought in shock. No! This is some kind of nonsense. What kind of father would seal a 9-tailed beast in his son? Shimura noticed changes in the boy, who hadn't reacted to anything for a long time. His fists were clenched, his breathing had quickened, as if he wasn't getting enough air, and there was obvious shock in his unseeing eyes. Perhaps I should have told him about this earlier. We would have saved a lot of time. The old man thought with a little regret. Unconsciously, Naruto came to his inner world. He stood near the cage and for a while just looked into the red eyes of the fox. Is it true? The guy finally asked quietly, not really understanding what he was hoping for. Did someone really want to talk to me? The fox asked mockingly. Please answer me. This is very important to me, for the first time he asked, and did not demand something from the Ninetales. You wonder if that bandaged old man told the truth about your... Yes. Naruto shouted, just answer. He told the truth. The fox answered calmly. He probably felt a little sorry for the guy. There was such a bunch of emotions in his gaze now. The blonde fell to his knees. He bent over like a slave bowing before his master. His eyes were covered by his bangs. Why? Why is everything like this? Uzumaki suddenly screamed, why is everyone lying to me? I don't understand anything anymore. His hands grabbed his hair, with the clear intention of tearing it out. His eyes turned into an abyss of despair and pain. Hey kid, the nine-tailed fox muttered. He had never seen Naruto like this. He felt genuinely sorry for Naruto like this. As much as a nine-tailed fox could feel sorry for someone. Suddenly something changed. The cage behind which the fox sat began to fade little by little. The seal. The tailed one guessed. These stupid people are breaking the seal. Naruto saw it too. Is this how it's going to end? Those who have been breaking him for so long will triumph, and he will let them do it. No way. Hey, fox. Uzumaki addressed the bijou, meeting the demon's red eyes. What's your name? You have a name, right? This question surprised Kyubi greatly. The kid sitting in front of him was his third Jinchuriki. But he was the first to ask his name. Kurama, the fox said after a pause. My real name is Kurama. It's a beautiful name, the boy said with a tired smile. He was silent for a while, feeling the burning sensation on his stomach growing. The seal was disappearing. Tell me, Kurama, can I ask you for something? What, you want my power again? Kyubi asked with disdain. Was he wrong about this guy? No, Naruto answered calmly. I'm still going to die. But I think you're not as bad as they say. What do you mean by that? The fox asked warily. Now I will break the seal myself. As soon as that happens, run. What? Kurama asked in shock. If you stay, you'll be sealed again. That's why I want you to leave the village. Go somewhere where no one will touch you. And you'll just give me the body? The fox asked warily. He didn't trust people too much. Naruto was silent for about a minute, thinking about something. Yes. I will do it. Kurama's jaw was about to drop from shock. The desired freedom, so close, but, as I said, I have a small request. All those who are on this base, kill them, please. And, not intending to listen to what Kurama would say about this, he walked up to the cage and grabbed the edge of the sheet of paper with the inscription. Seal. You know, I think if things had gone differently, you and I could have become good friends. With these words he tore off the sheet of paper. Well, how could this happen, Tsunade-sama? Gaara asked calmly, as befits a Kazekage. I don't know. The Hokage answered tiredly. Her nerves were giving out. All she wanted was to get drunk to the point where nothing could bother her anymore. But she couldn't do that now, no matter how much she wanted to. Are you sure you weren't planning any military action? Sandman narrowed his eyes suspiciously. He didn't feel much trust in Konoha. Not after what that village had done to his friend. Who do you take me for, boy? The woman exclaimed indignantly. Her hands clenched into fists. Unlike a brat like you, I know all the horror and pain of one word. War. Everyone I loved so much died there. It would never even occur to me to try to destroy the fragile balance that now exists between the 5 great countries. Then let's do it again. Gaara calmly continued to reason, not paying attention to such a disrespectful attitude towards himself. Several shinobi from this village had a mission in the country of Earth. Yes, Tsunade continued. It was obvious to the naked eye that she was very nervous. The mission should have been completed long ago, but no one ever returned or sent a message about the reason for the delay. If I were you, I would decide that they died on the way home. I decided the same. Although I didn't believe that they could die. What happened next? We were having a scheduled meeting of clan heads when the stone shinobi came to the village. Brazenly bursting into the meeting room, They conveyed the indignation of their village and personally to the Tsuchikage. How could they end up in the village of Kamiya? I already said that I don't know, the woman answered tiredly. And the desire to get completely drunk was growing. I can only assume that they were forced to end up there. That old Tsuchikage has completely lost his mind. Analyzing all your words, I think that the stone, which has held a grudge against Konoha for many years, has decided to start a war again. The question remains, how to get out of this situation. And preferably without starting a war. Tsunade supported. If fighting starts, the other countries won't stay on the sidelines. What exactly did the envoys present? The Kazekage asked thoughtfully. They accused our village of spying on us. Although villages often send spies to monitor. Why surveillance? Interrupted Hokage Gaara. He knew why villages sent spies. Because the team that was carrying out the mission was the best at finding information. Team number 8, Kurenai, Hinata, Kiba and Shino. This was supposed to be their last mission together, because all of her students are already Chunin, and Kurenai herself is pregnant. Damn, if only I knew what would come of this. They just wanted to carry out an easy mission as a team, like before. Her hands clenched into fists. Anger was tearing Tsunade apart from the inside. Pull yourself together, Tsunade-sama, this is no joke. As if I don't know without you. While they have hostages, they can start an attack, citing the defense of their village. It even sounds crazy. In the end, she couldn't stand it anymore. What if the 8th team suddenly disappears from custody? A male voice suddenly sounded somewhere near the window. Looking there, the two Kage saw Jiraiya sitting on the windowsill. Jiraiya-san? Gaara. Why wasn't I informed that you had returned to the village? Tsunade asked at the same time. This old pervert couldn't enter through the door, she was used to that. But usually she was informed about his return. Nobody knows. The girl, who appeared in the office literally out of nowhere, simply answered. Michiko Dash? Sandy asked again, feeling stupid. That's it, the blonde with coal-black eyes smiled. How are you, Gaara? The young Kazekage already opened his mouth to answer something, but he was not given the chance. Stop it immediately. Tsunade's iron fist collided with the wooden surface of the table. The latter cracked, but steadfastly endured the test and did not fall apart. You turned an important meeting into God knows what. Oi, calm down, Haim. Jiraiya muttered, waving his hands in a conciliatory manner, and smiled stupidly. But meeting the angry woman's gaze, he immediately became more serious. Could you please answer my first question? It took the Hokage a couple of minutes to calm down and remember Jiraiya's question. If there are no hostages, the stone will not be able to present us with anything. In fact, that Tsuchikage will look rather stupid, considering that he himself is trying to blame us for the end of the war, Tsunade thought out loud. But then she became wary. I don't know what you're thinking, but this is a useless undertaking from the very beginning. That Tsuchikage may be an old blockhead, but he can use his brains occasionally. I agree, Gaara thought. The prisoners are probably very carefully guarded. Security isn't that big of a problem. Michiko joined the conversation. Are you crazy or something? Screamed the completely enraged fifth. The unfortunate table could not withstand the second blow from Senju's fist. Documents that had been lying on it until then fell onto the fragments of the table. A worried Shizen immediately knocked on the door. Not now, Tsunade snapped. The knocking stopped immediately. Everyone watching the events could only sympathize with Shizen, who had to endure the 5th Hokage's antics on a daily basis. Do you even understand that if they meet even one Konoha shinobi in the stone, the war will start again? Senju asked, trying to pull herself together. Wait, time, Jiraiya spoke again, still looking with some apprehension at her clenched fists. I think you will now understand what Michiko and I are talking about. It is possible that even good spies in the stone will be identified, because now, as I understand it, everyone there is expecting such a move from us. But none of them knows about one person who has already visited all the great countries. And please note, he was never identified until he himself wanted to show himself to someone. Michiko immediately put in her word. You're talking about... The first Hokage's granddaughter suddenly switched from shouting to whispering, as if their small group was now talking about the most intimate secret. Yes, yes. Exactly about him. Naruto. Gaara breathed out his friend's name. I don't think he'll agree, Tsunade said. Even though Jiraiya never really explained what happened to his godson, she saw such deep sadness in the boy's gaze back then. And after all, several years had already passed since their meeting. You are wrong, Tsunade-sama. If we, people close to him, ask, Naruto will agree. What's the point of guessing? You just have to ask. I'll try to contact him as soon as possible. The last time I tried, he didn't answer. Michiko, do you know where Naruto is now? I've never been able to understand your connection. The insult could easily be discerned in the last words. Don't be jealous, pervert. The girl said cheerfully. Naruto will be busy for the next few hours, and then I will convey our common request to him. What is he doing? The toad Sannin asked, squinting suspiciously. Who knows, who knows? Tanaka smiled mysteriously. However, a minute later she became gloomy. A large spacious clearing in the middle of the forest. Green grass, flowers that seemed to never fade. And the smell. Naruto couldn't quite put his finger on what smelled in this clearing, but for some reason he associated it with freedom. In a way, he knew it was stupid, but he definitely liked this place. Someday I'll definitely come back here, Uzumaki thought, lying on the grass. You found me again. The voice that broke the silence of the clearing did not come as a surprise to the blonde. Of course. You don't want to take care of yourself, so I have to, he answered completely calmly. Don't say that. I immediately feel like a stupid child who scraped his knee. In response to this remark, Naruto laughed sincerely. He even began to theatrically wipe non-existent tears from his eyes. Oh, come on. I can't believe that you could run around, break your shins and cry like normal kids. No, Itachi? No, I didn't do that. I was raised in the traditions of the Uchiha clan, came the calm reply. What kind of person is this? His facial expressions are completely useless. Flashback. Itachi and Kisame spent a long time searching for the Ninetales Jinchuriki and finally found the town he was staying in. It must be said that Uchiha did not like all this. But he will play his role until the very end. Until the moment when Sasuke becomes strong enough to survive in this world. This Uzumaki Naruto, there were all sorts of rumors going around the villages about what happened in the leaf a year and a half ago. It all boiled down to the fact that the boy's mind was completely consumed by the demon. After which he helped Orochimaru kill the third Hokage. It sounds crazy. But still, how cruel people are. Without even trying to listen and understand, they dumped all the mortal sins on the boy. It was night now. They were planning to capture the Jinchuriki tomorrow. But Itachi couldn't sleep. He was having another attack. The pain was gripping his muscles. The picture in front of his eyes was swaying, as if he was sailing on a ship. That's why Uchiha left their temporary shelter, not wanting to show weakness to Kisame. He walked through the forest, listening to the sounds of the night forest, a light breeze rustling the leaves, the grass rustling underfoot, birds screaming somewhere in the distance. Coming out onto a small clearing, Itachi froze. Even though his eyesight had deteriorated considerably, he could not help but recognize the owner of the blonde hair. Surrounded by flowers, looking at the sky, sat Uzumaki Naruto. In fact, there was nothing good about it. Itachi is very weak during the attacks. He should have turned around and left, but he continued to stand there and look at the boy. So you are Itachi, Sasuke's brother? The blonde asked unexpectedly. Maybe, Uchiha said coldly, trying not to show his grave condition. That's right. Only the notorious Uchihas can speak so coldly, Naruto said with a smile, without turning to face him. You know, I was waiting for you, Itachi. Waited? Uchiha tensed up a little. For what? I have only one question for you. Why did you destroy your clan? That's it. Are you worried about Sasuke? I don't give a damn about this topic from a high tower. And don't answer a question with a question, it's not very polite. I destroyed the clan to test my strength. Why didn't you kill Sasuke? Uzumaki nevertheless deigned to turn around, casting a thoughtful glance at the brunette. He was too weak. I wanted him to become stronger. Why did you want this? Surely not so that he would kill you. A bitter smile flashed on Naruto's lips. Itachi froze. The boy, he couldn't know the truth, could he? What nonsense! He doesn't have the strength to kill me. This is just my desire, my entertainment. Cold outside, fire inside. No one must know the truth about the Uchiha's shame. No one ever. He will take this secret with him to the grave. I'm not going to run to Sasuke and tell him the truth, if that's what you care about. Can he read minds? Itachi thought in shock. Tell me the truth. I have my own guesses, you just confirm them or refute them. That's all. Why do you need this? Do you want to be closer to Sasuke? Uchiha suggested. Kami, what are you listening to? I told you, I don't care about him. But you. I'm interested in you, Itachi. What? Why? He was becoming more and more tense about this conversation. A few weeks ago I saw a picture of you. He paused for a minute. And then continued, your eyes, they are the same as mine. The eyes of a man awaiting his death and seeing it as a deliverance. Shock. Right now, Itachi feels nothing but shock. Just one look at his photo. The boy saw what others did not notice, while being close to him. Who is he? What is wrong with this Jinchuriki of the Nine Tails? Then a new wave of pain washed over him like a ninth wave. He no longer had the strength to stand. His legs gave way, and Itachi fell to his knees, convulsively forcing himself to breathe. And each time he felt worse and worse. He had only one desire, to take out a kunai and kill himself, so as not to feel this unbearable pain. Jumping up from the place where he had been sitting for quite a while waiting for the Uchiha, Naruto quickly walked up to Itachi, immediately falling to his knees next to him. He was in really bad shape. His already pale skin was now some kind of ashen shade. He had one hand braced against the ground and the other clawing at his chest, as if he were fighting the urge to rip his heart out. His forehead was glistening with sweat. He was on the edge. Hey, Kurama! Namikaze mentally called out to the tailed beast. Help me save this man. It seems that without my intervention he will not survive this night. Why should I help him? He is from the hated Uchiha clan, who played with me like a toy. The fox's angry voice was heard in response. Please. This is my request to you. This man, although he tries not to show it, he is completely different. I can see through his mask there is a lot of pain, but undoubtedly, he is a good person. Please, Kurama, I want to save him, although I myself do not understand the reason. You are too kind, Naruto. No matter how much pain you are caused, you look for the good in everything. This will definitely destroy you someday. Displeasure was clearly heard in Kyuubi's voice. Naruto smiled. This fox may grumble like an old stump, but he cares about him. Namikaze feels needed by him. Besides, he already senses the pure chakra of the strongest tailed beast that has begun to flow through his chakra channels. Turning the weakly resisting Itachi around, Naruto carefully laid him on his back on the ground, placing his head on his lap. What are you doing? A weak voice was heard. It was hard to believe that just a few minutes ago this man was calmly talking to him. Don't be afraid, I just want to help you. Lie still for a little while. I don't need help. A weak attempt to get up failed miserably. Well then, you'll die. Naruto replied calmly, making no attempt to stop his futile attempts to get up. You'll die. And what you're forcing yourself to live for will disappear too. Stop it, Naruto. You're doing him a favor, and he still dares to be stubborn. Damn Uchihas. Let him die, there will be one less freak. Calm down, Kurama, everything is fine. You see, he has already calmed down. You are still a hopeless idiot, the nine-tailed muttered in response. But he stopped showing his displeasure. Naruto only smiled widely in response to these words. Sasuke. His thoughts were sluggish. It seemed like he was about to lose consciousness. I can't die. I still have things to do. And then he felt a weak, almost weightless touch on his face and chest. It would seem, what was he thinking, lying on the legs of the guy he was supposed to grab? After all, he could kill him without thinking much and get rid of the obstacle. But for some reason he trusted him. And in his head those words of his were ringing. Your eyes, they are the same as mine. The eyes of a man waiting for his death and seeing deliverance in it. Unexpectedly for him, the pain gradually began to pass, and only some unusual lightness remained in his body. He had not felt this for a long time, or, to be more precise, never. This chakra that entered his body was strange. Like it was mixed. Be grateful, Uchiha. Naruto is too kind after all. A voice with notes of discontent flashed in his head, but immediately disappeared. So he's sending demonic chakra at me. Itachi thought, a little confused. He didn't have the strength to say anything out loud. But why is she so soft and light? Uchiha couldn't say how long he lay like that, but judging by his slightly stiff muscles, it was quite a long time. Well, now everything is fine, Naruto said with a smile. He did not stop stroking his black hair, taking away all the worries and doubts. Why? Itachi muttered in confusion. The Uchiha felt just fine. But it wouldn't last long. The Sharingan curse would soon manifest itself again. Honestly, I don't know. You needed my help, I helped. Don't worry, I have no intention of asking for anything in return. Unless… What? Itachi tensed up. Still, it wasn't worth expecting help from the boy for nothing. Tell me about your life. I'm not going to insist if you don't want to. It's just, I think you're a really good person. And there are reasons for everything you do. For a moment the clearing was enveloped in silence. Naruto, as if he had forgotten that he was not alone, looked up at the sky again. There was a slight smile on his lips. It seemed that no problems were bothering him. A person like him should not be on this sinful earth. And Itachi himself was thinking. On the one hand, he had sworn to himself that he would never tell anyone the truth about the rebellion in the Uchiha clan. But this man, on whose feet he was still lying, was strange. That understanding look of his was throwing him off track. As if he already knew everything, but at the same time he was offering Itachi to talk, to at least slightly reduce his ocean of pain. His intuition told him that he could trust this man with all his secrets. He would not betray. He would not abandon. Your eyes, they are the same as mine. The eyes of a man waiting for his death and seeing it as a deliverance. Naruto's words floated into his head again. And Itachi made up his mind. He told Naruto everything, what everyone expected of him, his reluctance, the Uchiha clan's intention to rise up and overthrow Konoha's leadership, his double spying, the order to exterminate all members of the clan, his own clan, how he loved Sasuke too much and couldn't kill him, his leaving the village and joining Akatsuki, about Madara and his Eye of the Moon plan. And Naruto just listened attentively. In moments when Itachi stuttered, trying to calm the emotions raging inside him, he simply stroked his head, giving him affection that the Uchiha had never felt. And he smiled, wiping away his random tears that were impossible to hold back. And at the end of the story he simply hugged Itachi, shocking him to the depths of his soul. He didn't deserve such understanding. I have completely cured you. You will not be in pain anymore, Namikaze whispered soothingly. No. This is my curse, the curse of the Sharingan. I'll soon get worse again. Is there no way to avoid this? Naruto asked excitedly. He was not mistaken after all. The soul of this brunette was not dark like Sasuke, but bright, although very sad. I have to take Sasuke's eyes, like Madara once did, taking his brother's eyes. But you have to understand. You won't do that, right? Naruto asked sadly. He had changed after all. If you told him now that Sasuke had died, he would only be happy. Namikaze hated Uchiha Sasuke, and he would never forgive him for what he had done. Or rather, what he hadn't done. No. As soon as my stupid brother becomes strong enough, he will kill me. And again an awkward silence hung over the clearing. They just don't know what to say, how to change this unpleasant topic to something else. What kind of chakra was that? It doesn't look like demonic at all. Itachi tried to change the subject. And Naruto also accepted the rules of the game. It was pure Kurama chakra mixed with my own. I also thought about adding some natural energy, but your weakened body might not be able to handle it. What do you mean clean? Well, imagine that I filtered it. Filtered out all the malice and hatred. So Kurama. That's the nine-tailed fox's real name, Namikaze said with a smile. But then he continued seriously. Itachi, as soon as you start to feel worse, call me. I'll try to take away your pain. Thank you, Naruto-kun. No, Itachi, just call me Naruto. His smile shone like a second sun that had already begun to wake up. The sunrise is very beautiful. End of flashback. Go to bed, Itachi. Michiko said she saw you not long ago. You were really bad. Why didn't you tell me, you bastard? Naruto was indignant, looking closely at the approaching man. I didn't want to bother you. Itachi answered reluctantly. What should I bother you with, Uchiha? With your death? Namikaze was angry. Your pride, Itachi, brings a lot of problems. What does pride have to do with it? Akatsuki is looking for you. It's dangerous for us to meet. Naruto's face twisted. He clearly wanted to say something, but he held back. Go lie down. And remember, no one will find me if I don't want to. You're 17, and you're still so naive. I told you before. Well, Madara will be able to find you. Itachi lay down on the ground, following the established tradition. He put his head on the guy's knees. Hot hands immediately began to stroke his head, relieving the pain and bringing peace. Thank you, Naruto. It felt so good to lie on Naruto's lap. He had already finished the treatment, but he continued to stroke Itachi's head, sometimes burying his hand in the dark locks. The Uchiha sensed his anxiety, so he said nothing, and he himself enjoyed this simple caress. Still, no one had ever seen him as a simple person who needed warmth. To everyone, he was a genius, the next head of the clan, a brother to train with, or simply a heartless renegade who killed his entire family. But Naruto, he was different. Having understood the true meaning of the word pain, at an early age he began to treat others with understanding. Namikaze gave those who suffered what they lacked so much, and everyone was immensely grateful to him for this. Suddenly, a familiar voice sounded in both of their heads. Yo, Naruto! Have you finished treating Itachi yet? Michiko asked cheerfully. Her personality was eerily reminiscent of Namikaze, but that didn't stop Itachi from getting attached to her. He couldn't say for sure yet whether he had fallen in love with her. Time would put everything in its place. Let's say so. Naruto answered cautiously, sensing something was wrong. He couldn't shake the feeling that something was going to happen. Something he wouldn't like. What exactly is it? Well, you see, it just so happened that we need your help. She answered somewhat uncertainly. What's the matter? Itachi entered the mental dialogue. The pendant hanging on his neck glowed slightly. It was a gift from Naruto, so that he could always contact him. I know you won't like this, but please try to understand. Speak already. You must help Konoha, she said, making up her mind. No, came the answer immediately. His voice was calm, although Itachi, who was nearby, saw how Naruto tensed up after these words. He could understand Namikaze's reluctance to help Konoha. Even if Naruto hadn't said anything during their first meeting, citing the brunette's poor morale. But during the second treatment, the blonde had told him everything. No, not just about the cell, he had told him about his life from the very beginning, about the hatred he had always felt. About how some shinobi often beat him, taking advantage of the fact that he was unable to respond. About the ninja academy and the teacher's reluctance to teach him even a little. And about much, much more. With each of his words, sentences, Itachi grew more and more gloomy. The question arose, how could a child grow up in such an environment and not become extremely bitter? And the answer was simple. Naruto had too kind and open a soul. And this, perhaps, was his weakest point. When it came to the absurd accusations and his imprisonment in a cell, Itachi became completely gloomy. He knew perfectly well who was behind all this. Danzo wanted to have power, and a couple of extra deaths did not bother him. But still, how could people who called themselves Naruto's friends believe in his guilt so easily? The death of that carefree and happy Naruto, who shone like a second sun, was their fault. Even if he had ended up in a cage, the people, close to him, were to blame for his death. They turned away from him. Stung him in the back, which he did not expect. He trusted too much and paid for it with betrayal. Even though Itachi now felt the warmth and care of this man, but it was just a shadow that remained from the former Uzumaki Naruto. Now Namikaze did not trust everyone he met. His trust had to be earned. And to the question, "Why did you trust me?" he answered seriously. "Your eyes, Itachi. It's all in your eyes. I think that with time you will understand the reason for my actions. And a gentle smile wandered across his face at these words. Itachi remembered everything and understood Naruto's reluctance to help. But he also knew Michiko and understood that she would not have asked for nothing. Naruto, this is not just my request. We are all asking you, Tsunade, Gaara, and even that pervert Jiraiya. Tanaka tried to persuade. What's the matter exactly? Itachi asked. If the matter was really that important, he would also try to persuade Naruto. Michiko told them everything about the situation, hiding nothing. Naruto hated lies more than anything, she knew that. And if he realized that he had been lied to about anything, he would simply leave. Both listened attentively to everything, without interrupting once. The situation was truly unenviable. I still don't want to help them. Lesson learned in response to kindness in this village, everyone wants to hurt me. I won't fall for this bait anymore. Let them choose for themselves as they wish. Just understand. The battle between Leaf and Stone will definitely involve other hidden villages. And then we can forget about the fragile balance that exists now. The girl answered irritably. She knew the reasons perfectly well, but in this situation, Naruto had to put his pride aside and just do everything in his power. A lot of people will die. And they will die because of you. Do you want that? Yes, Tanaka definitely knew what to press. There is sense in her words, Naruto. Itachi supported her. Remember why I destroyed my family. It was all for the sake of peace, for the lives of innocent people. Well, why me? Naruto asked. Ask someone else to do it. I don't think they're all so untalented that they can't behave quietly and inconspicuously for a while. After all, there's Jiraiya. He grabbed the last twig like a drowning man. How great is his resentment? Itachi couldn't help but think. He tried to imagine what he would feel if he were in his place, but he couldn't. Naruto. The girl tried again. No, I refuse. Maybe you could at least come to the village, then we'll see. The girl tried. Go to Konoha at least just like that. Itachi supported her. Why do you both, knowing the truth, still ask me about this? The blonde asked quietly and somewhat resignedly. Because the only way to avoid war is if you intervene. Naruto fell silent. His face was expressionless, so Itachi had a hard time understanding what he was thinking. Although, he was probably pulled into the abyss of memories. But it seemed like there really was no other way out. Okay. Naruto answered tiredly. I'll come to the village in a few days. You have my word. We'll be waiting for you at noon today in the main square. He heard the answer. And don't you dare say that you can't, I know that's not true. Okay. The blonde answered tiredly. I'll come. I give you my word. But that doesn't mean I'll rush to help them right away. Keep that in mind. Itachi sat in the clearing and watched the sunrise. He felt great, as he always did after helping Naruto, who had already left, extremely dissatisfied. The Uchiha knew that this state of ease would not last long. In a few days, his vision would begin to gradually deteriorate again, he would begin to have incessant headaches, and even breathing would become more difficult. Perhaps, without Naruto's intervention 2 years ago, he would have been dead for sure. And then Sasuke would have nothing left. He once mentioned that he continued to live, remaining his brother's target. Naruto's reaction to his words was very negative. Just hearing Sasuke's name made his eyes flare with rage and hatred. It seemed that if his stupid little brother were anywhere nearby, he would already be dead. What have you done, stupid brother? What caused Naruto to have such negative emotions towards you? Uchiha asked Namikaze about this more than once, but he stubbornly remained silent. And only once did he say that Sasuke had taken a significant part in the destruction of his world. The world of the kind, naive and all-forgiving Naruto Uzumaki, who is no longer here, who will most likely never return. Stupid brother! The square in the center of Konoha was packed with people. In fact, the original plan was to gather only shinobi and not involve the civilian population in some problems, but they came themselves, sincerely worried about their village. Tsunade was unable to make them leave, although she clearly understood what reaction Naruto's appearance would cause in everyone. And the guy himself would hardly be happy. I think we can begin, Gaara said calmly. Are you sure he'll come? Senju asked uncertainly. Naruto gave his word he will come. You must all know about the difficult situation that the stone initiated? The Kazekage and I have been thinking for a long time about how to resolve everything without starting a new war. Tsunade began. And they couldn't think of anything other than asking me to take the captured shinobi, finished the other man. Everyone was shocked. Everyone could have sworn that just a few seconds ago there was no one there. And now on the peculiar stage that had been prepared especially for the village chief's speech, there was a new character. Some of the girls couldn't hold back an admiring sigh. The guy was damn handsome. The shinobi were wary. None of them sensed the presence of this man. Who is he? This question could easily be read in their eyes. And it never occurred to any of these people that the person everyone was looking at now was that same Naruto Uzumaki. What did he look like? He was wearing a beautiful blue yukata with a dragon on the back, and he had geta on his feet. It didn't seem like such a remarkable appearance, did it? However, what attracted attention most was his face, or rather his piercing blue eyes, which looked at the world with impenetrable calm. Oddly enough, those stripes on his face were no longer there. They simply began to disappear over time, and Naruto himself couldn't say why. A bandana dash, the same blue color as the yukata, was lost in his blonde, tousled hair. In each ear there were about 2 or 3 earrings made of some strange black metal. Well, why the hell are you interrupting me, Naruto? The Hokage immediately got furious. And only then did it dawn on her that perhaps she shouldn't have said the name of the person who came right away. But it was too late. Only a deaf person would not have heard Tsunade's scream. Putting together the blonde hair and the name, everyone understood who this person was. The shinobi immediately took up combat positions, trying to protect the civilians. Namikaze himself looked at all this with some contempt, slightly narrowing his blue eyes. And why should I help these people? Let them die, I don't care. Danzo, who was also present in the square, ordered the root fighters to capture the Jinchuriki. In an instant, 5 masked fighters were already standing in front of Naruto. They began their attack simultaneously, but none of them could even touch the guy. He calmly dodged the kunai. The attackers realized that they could not deal with him in this way and decided to start using techniques. Namikaze, seeing how the fighters began to fold the seals, became angry. Disappearing from the place where he stood, he appeared next to Gaara. 5 of Danzo's subordinates lay dead, frightening the others with their wounds. And that's the reason why I didn't want to come here. The townspeople shook with fear upon hearing this voice, and the shinobi became even more wary, ready to attack or repel an attack at any moment. But even they were paralyzed by fear. This voice, these eyes, there was nothing in them except endless ice that would freeze anyone who approached the Jinchuriki. Demon! Someone from the crowd screamed in horror. And this man immediately found himself under the close attention of icy blue eyes. And if at first he was simply scared, now he was ready to die of horror, feeling strange vibrations in the air around him. Don't you dare call me a demon! You have no right to do so. The same coldness is still in the voice. Naruto, calm down, Gaara said calmly, placing his hand on his shoulder. And everything stopped. Those vibrations in the air that had frightened that man so much were gone. The look changed. It became softer, as if all the ice that had been there had melted in an instant. Naruto! Tanaka jumped on Namikaze and hugged him with her arms and legs, laughing, how I missed you. Just talking to you and seeing you in person are completely different things. Michiko, the blonde, muttered tenderly. He was also very happy to see her. Well, why was it necessary to scare them all? Jiraiya asked sullenly. Do you want me dead or something, pervert? Naruto asked, still smiling. You're a fool, was all the Sannin replied, not knowing what else to say in this situation. Well, in general, did you understand what was required of you? Tsunade asked, carefully examining the guy. He had changed so much since the last time they saw each other. And actually the first time. Flashback. She was sitting in a bar, drinking sake, as usual. Admittedly, Senju was feeling uneasy. Every single number on her lottery tickets had won. This promised big trouble, but Tsunade didn't know what kind. Lost in her thoughts too deeply, she didn't notice someone approaching her from behind. She came to only when the stranger put his hand on her shoulder. Deciding that it was some drunken pervert, Tsunade turned around with the intention of hitting him, but her hand stopped literally a couple of centimeters from the face of a boy. Yes, it was a simple boy of about 13 or 14 years old, with wheat-colored hair and blue eyes. That's what it might have seemed to anyone at first glance. Tsunade involuntarily recoiled. There was a sea of pain in the boy's eyes, which seemed to have simply swallowed his soul, leaving nothing more. Involuntarily, she began to look for damage on this boy's body, wanting to heal him and not see this pain in his eyes. But there were no wounds on his body. Not even a scratch was visible. "What's wrong with him?" was the only thought that was beating in her head. "Naruto? Hey Naruto, where are you?" A loud voice of a man was heard from the street. A very familiar voice. "Pervert," the boy muttered absent-mindedly, still looking closely at Senju. Naruto, lifting the fabric, the notorious Jiraiya looked into the bar. "Oh, there you are. Why didn't you answer? I was looking all over for you, by the way." Here he fell silent, seeing who Uzumaki was standing next to, although he asked to be called Namikaze now. "Tsunade?" he muttered in surprise, looking her over carefully. The one he loved with all his heart, the one who seemed to have not changed at all since their last meeting. "Jiraiya?" she asked in response, looking at her former comrade just as carefully. "We haven't seen each other for a long time," the Toad-Sanin muttered, feeling a bit stupid. An awkward silence hung between them. "Was this her you were looking for, pervert?" Naruto interrupted, as always at the wrong time. "Hey, don't call me a pervert!" Jiraiya immediately switched. "I'm just calling a spade a spade." The blonde shrugged in response. "What do you mean, looked for?" Senju asked. Tsunade, I'll explain everything to you, just not here, okay?" For a minute she considered whether it was worth going somewhere and listening to something, but once again encountering that pain-filled look, she agreed. Already sitting in the room and listening to Jiraiya's story, she couldn't take her eyes off the boy, who had fallen asleep almost immediately after they arrived. His gaze gave her no peace. Too much pain, too much suffering, too much of some kind of torment, as if the boy was disgusted by simply living. Just too much. "Hey, Jiraiya," she interrupted. "What's wrong with him?" "I don't know," the Sanin answered honestly. "After the teacher's funeral, I left the village for a while. And when I returned, I was in for a shock. Naruto was accused of conspiring with Suna and Orochimaru, after which he was taken into custody." "Are you kidding?" the blonde muttered in amazement. "Unfortunately, no. I was terribly angry, demanded to see Naruto, to at least make sure that he was okay, but I was not allowed to do even that. Moreover, the advisors condescended to inform me that if I do not bring you in the next 3 months, Danzo will become the new Hokage." "Wait, are you saying that the village still hasn't appointed a Hokage?" "Yes. I wonder why he is needed at all, if the village is still run by advisors and Danzo?" Jiraiya asked rhetorically. "This is weird. But in my opinion, it looks more like a mockery," the Toad-Sanin answered wearily. "And yet, what about Naruto? I found him with 2 guys. They were all unconscious and covered in blood, like they'd been to a slaughterhouse. The girl's name is Michiko, and the boy's is Akira. Where are they? Maybe these 2 need medical attention." "It was necessary. Naruto, having regained consciousness, cured them both." Catching a surprised look, he explained. "Where Naruto knows healing techniques from, I myself don't know. He can do a lot of things, but I can't imagine who, and most importantly, when taught him. The more I think about it, the more surprised I am." "So where are these 2? Senju asked again, not having received an answer to her first question. "They went somewhere, after talking to Naruto for a few hours. Later I asked him where they went, but all I got in response was, 'They'll be back. We'll see them later,' and a barely noticeable smile. Naruto, he's changed a lot. I've been watching him all this time. There's almost nothing left of the former smiling and overly active boy. He constantly sits and thinks about something of his own. He hardly smiles, no matter how hard I try to make him laugh, and sometimes I catch a look that makes me really scared. Naruto looks at me as if he's expecting something. No, that's not it. It seems as if he's expecting a stab. In the back. From me. Waiting for my betrayal, waiting for me to abandon him the same way the villagers did." He fell silent, looking attentively at the sleeping boy. Tsunade was silent too. She simply didn't know what to say. I asked him a couple of times what happened to him, but he stubbornly remained silent, only shrugging his shoulders. Jiraiya finally continued. Maybe it means that nothing was done to him. Even she herself was not sure of her words. I'm afraid it's just the opposite. We did and did a lot. And that's another reason why I wanted to find you. Can you look at his eyes? What's wrong? You haven't noticed? Jiraiya asked in surprise. His eyes don't see anything. Naruto is blind now. End of flashback. Footnotes. Akira M. Smart, quick-witted. Yukata, Japanese, is a traditional Japanese garment that is an unlined summer casual cotton, linen or hemp kimono. Geta, Japanese, are Japanese wooden sandals in the shape of a stool, the same for both feet. From above they look like rectangles with rounded tops and possibly slightly convex sides. They are held on the feet by straps that pass between the big and second toes. From the author. Please don't scold me for taking so long to write. I have a lot of things to do, and I was simply physically unable to do it. I'm really looking forward to your feedback. While I'm on vacation, maybe I'll have time to write another 1 or 2 parts. I'm not quite sure if it's called a bandana. I imagined it well from the image of Colonello. Those who watched Reborn will understand, who is very similar to Naruto, only smarter. Well, in general, did you understand what was required of you? Well, in general, yes. But I have a question for you. Why do you think I'll take this on? I think I only promised to come to the village. I have absolutely no desire to go and save anyone. But, Jiraiya began. And now, watching their attitude towards me, I understand that there was no point in even just coming here, Naruto continued calmly, sitting on the edge of the stage. Perhaps before he would have screamed from injustice, would have asked to see him as a person, not a monster, but Namikaze had changed too much. No one will see how much pain he really suffers. This is his decision. After all, then they will rejoice even more, seeing that the monster is suffering. Naruto, do you have no desire at all? Michiko asked calmly. I don't understand why you asked me at all. I don't believe that no one else is capable of infiltrating Iwagakure unnoticed. In fact, in such conditions, I can't be sure that I can penetrate the village myself, let alone others. Jiraiya responded uncertainly. And even if I can, my appearance is too noticeable for such a situation. I have an idea. Tsunade suddenly intervened. Naruto, how do you feel about making some kind of agreement with Konoha? What do you think, Haim? The advisors immediately put in their 2 cents. He is a Jinchuriki, he. The village's weapon, finished Namikaze, is that what you wanted to say? Exactly. Koharu confirmed. Here's another point to add to the list of reasons why I have no desire to help this village. The blonde continued quite calmly. What, you don't like the sound of the truth, boy? Hamura's words. How are old farts like you supposed to know what's true and what's not? Naruto said dismissively. You throw words around so easily, but do you really know anything about my life? Naruto, wait. Calm down and listen only to me. Seeing that the guy really was no longer paying attention to anyone, Senju continued. I propose to make a contract with me, the 5th Hokage. What are the conditions? I will personally assign you some tasks, for the completion of which you will receive money. It will be about the same as in Suna, Gaara suggested. At my request, you sometimes carried out some missions, for which you then received money. Yes, but this time there will be an official document. And no one will be able to make claims against you. It sounds good, of course. But I still don't intend to tolerate insults directed at me. If I do agree, we'll add a condition. From this minute on, 10 insults directed at me will be ignored. From the 11th I'll start killing. What? The advisors exclaimed simultaneously. How dare you say such a thing in front of everyone, demon? We will. 1, Namikaze counted, 9 left. Let it be known to you, gentlemen advisors, I can release the Kyuubi right now. Oh, if you only knew how he dreams of destroying this village. The most frightening thing was that Naruto said all this with a smile. Tsunade! Koharu cried out in fright, do something! Senju was silent, looking at the blonde intently. Noticing this, Naruto winked at her slightly, confirming that he was just playing. I agree. You've lost your mind, Tsunade. Hamura was not going to remain silent. We will immediately write a letter to the daimyo. And you will be immediately removed from the post of Hokage, since you succumbed to the will of a demon. I wouldn't rush in such a hurry if I were you, Naruto answered thoughtfully. If the agreement is really concluded, then I will have to help the 5th Hokage. Now it is already clear how you are putting pressure on her, trying to keep power in your hands. Maybe I should kill you? He finished calmly, even with some curiosity. Hamura, Koharu, stop it! Danzo intervened. Let's go, we need to talk. They obediently followed the bandaged old man, casting a last glance full of contempt and hatred at the blonde. By the way, if I were you, I'd be more careful, otherwise what if I can read minds? Maybe your mental insults will be included in the Fatal 10. A promising smile appeared on his face. By the way, this applies to everyone. Stop it, Naruto, Jiraiya said reproachfully, patting the negligent student on the head. Blue eyes, like the sky, immediately stared at him, full of feigned resentment. As you say, there is also resentment in the voice. A person who doesn't know the blonde would definitely believe it. You should have joined the circus, Naruto, Sanin muttered under his breath. At these words, a smile appeared on Namikaze's lips, which made it clear that he had heard everything perfectly. Naruto liked to sit on the 4th Hokage's face since he was a child. Maybe he just subconsciously felt that Namikaze Minato was his father? A bitter smile flashed across his lips. It's a pity that you can only laugh at yourself. What am I doing? The blonde asked himself mentally. I'd better leave now and just forget about today. Nightmares. I'll probably be tormented by nightmares again. I'll see these faces again, feel this pain. Unbearable. Feeling that his headache was starting again, the guy squeezed his temples, as if this action hoped to stop his torment. He was tired. Who knew how much Naruto dreamed of dying, or better yet, never being born? Every time he just thought about a village like Konoha, his emotions went out of control. Fear, pain, resentment, despair, all these feelings consumed his mind over and over again. I need to leave, before things get worse than they already are. Then why am I still sitting here? Why? The blonde howled out loud. Just as he was about to continue his self-flagellation, he froze, feeling someone else's presence very close. Not having any desire to turn around and look at the uninvited guest, Naruto simply listened to his feelings. Konohamaru, Namikaze's guest. Do you also blame me for the old man's death? Do you also hate me? He asked quietly, continuing to look at the village, feeling like a complete masochist. No, came the answer, unexpected for the blonde. You would never have hurt your grandfather. He was too dear to you. Naruto felt like he had been hit. It was so hard, but perhaps pleasantly it was a surprise. Blue eyes looked at the 3rd Hokage's grandson in shock. He was prepared for a new round of accusations or cries of hatred, but not this. What makes you think that the old man was dear to me? Maybe I was just pretending and trying to gain his trust? The voice should sound cold, not revealing a single emotion raging inside like a fire. No. That first time we met, a smile appeared on the boy's lips at these memories. I saw how you looked at your grandfather. Adoration and endless gratitude were clearly visible in your gaze. It's not surprising, because he was one of the few who didn't hate me. At least that's obvious, the blonde finished uncertainly, looking at Konohamaru with blue eyes filled with sad memories. Don't say that, the boy exclaimed. Your grandfather loved you very much too. Namikaze's lips twitched into an uncertain smile. Then he whispered, Thank you. Naruto thanked him for everything at once, for the faith, for the confirmation of memories that he no longer had confidence in, and simply for the fact that Sarutobi came, and wasn't afraid of the image that the blonde tried so hard to create for himself in the square. The stupid blue scarf that the brunette always carried around fluttered in the wind when the boy suddenly took off. Naruto was shocked again, finding himself in someone else's arms. I missed you so much, brother! Konohamaru exclaimed like a little child, clinging to the blonde with all his might. How reminiscent of the past! Namikaze thought without trying to break free or move away. He constantly asked to teach him cool techniques. I wouldn't be surprised if Konohamaru asks him to teach him something now. The previously uncertain smile became calmer and even softer. But the 3rd Hokage's grandson surprised him again. Stepping back, He looked at Naruto with a serious look that made the blonde himself involuntarily tense up. "Brother, I have a favor to ask of you." "Which one?" "Kurenai-sensei is carrying Uncle Asuma's child. He's very worried about her. I don't think they could do anything to them it wouldn't be beneficial to the stone. Now they are acting as the accusing party, and if the prisoners are okay, this original humanity could worsen Konoha's situation." "How?" Konohamaru immediately became interested, temporarily forgetting about his request. "Tell me, whose side would you take, the side of the people who sent the spies, or the side that, although it caught the spies, did not kill them immediately and, moreover, did not seriously injure them? But the hostages are proof of Konoha's guilt, they can't be killed." The brunette jumped up. "You're not quite right, believe me, providing corpses as evidence would have been possible too." Naruto remained calm. Panic appeared on the third's grandson's face. He was clearly ready to run somewhere and do something reckless. This situation did not suit Namikaze. "Calm down and sit down. Believe it or not, but I'm sure that everything is more or less okay with them." "Brother, just tell me what you wanted to ask." The blonde couldn't resist. "Uncle Sumi allows me to follow you," Sarutobi said quickly. It took Naruto about a minute to decode the data, and then the logical answer was, "No." "But why?" the boy persisted. "Because," Namikaze answered, "I alone will be quite enough." "And when did I finally agree to go on this mission?" the blonde asked himself in the meantime. "Please, Naruto." Any cutest puppy would envy Konohamaru's look at that moment. And for some reason, looking into these eyes, full of hope for the best, so similar to his eyes once, all my hopes and aspirations were mercilessly destroyed, leaving behind a void. I don't want his spark to disappear under the onslaught of the world's cruelty. Maybe that's why I agreed to all this. Maybe that's why I'm going to do this now. Okay. Naruto exhaled, not fully realizing that he was agreeing to such madness. "What?" Sarutobi asked, confused. "I said I agree. You and your uncle can come with me." "Thank you." The brunette exhaled, starting to hug Namikaze again. The Hokage's office was literally packed. Tsunade was angry her advisors had been brainwashing her for 2 hours, at least Danzo wasn't there, and then a crowd of shinobi came, claiming that they had to go on this mission too. And the situation worsened several times when the head of the Hyuga clan came with a statement that he couldn't let the demon go after his daughter. Having somehow dissuaded Hayashi himself from going to the stone, she met a new obstacle. He demanded that someone from his clan, and from a side branch at that, had to be sent with the demon. Niji was the ideal candidate. And Senju was no longer able to dissuade him from this. "Naruto will be furious," was all she thought wearily. "Let's do it again," Tsunade whispered, dreaming of downing a couple of bottles of sake in one gulp and passing out. "As I understand it, you've already decided everything. Can you at least clearly say who's coming? What kind of circus is this?" Naruto, who had been sitting on the window for about 5 minutes, intervened without letting anyone open their mouths. "I'm not going to take anyone with me." "Brother!" Sarutobi, who was also in the office, immediately jumped up. "Oh yeah, except Asuma and Konohamaru." "Thank you," exhaled the elder Sabutori, looking gratefully at the blonde. "This is really very important to me." "We'll go too." Others immediately chimed in, starting even more heated arguments. Naruto's eye started twitching. It was impossible to remain indifferent to this circus. If this farce continues, no one will go. "And me too," the blonde interrupted all the arguments. The desired effect was achieved. The irrepressible shinobi fell silent, looking attentively at Naruto. He looked back at them completely calmly. "I'm not going to have a long discussion with any of you about this. I'm just presenting you with a fait accompli," he continued calmly. "But Naruto," Konohamaru and Tsunade immediately put in their 2 cents. "You want me to lead a crowd of unbalanced shinobi unnoticed?" One eyebrow began to twitch nervously again. "This is unreal." "Just admit that you can't do it," someone answered sarcastically. Turning in the direction from which the voice came, Namikaze saw a man who looked eerily like Sasuke. The same black hair, the same aristocratic features. But most importantly, the eyes, which were as empty as the younger Uchiha's. Looking into those eyes, Naruto immediately remembered his last meeting with Sasuke. It's funny to see you like this. Lying in your own pool of blood isn't very pleasant, is it? Clenching his fist so hard that blood began to flow from the inside of his palm, the blonde tried to even out his suddenly ragged breathing. He could already feel the darkness he had been fighting all this time. Everything is fine, fine. Namikaze repeated to himself like a mantra, feeling several worried glances converge on him. Gaara frowned as his friend turned pale and stared blankly at the wall. He had seen this happen before, and it hadn't ended well. Why are you doing this, Naruto? Kurama came to the rescue, distracting him with conversation. Just leave and be done with it. That would be the easiest way out. However, it is worth admitting that this agreement will also be beneficial to me. With what? Now I have to hide under a false name. This is all not for me. After signing the contract, my life will simply become easier. Decide for yourself. I will be strong. I will not break, Kurama. Trust me. So, having no desire to argue with the crowd, Naruto gave in. I agreed to sign the contract. If you want, you can come with me with the whole village. I warned you right away. I am not responsible for anyone. If they catch you, put you behind bars, or even decide to execute you your problems, I will not lift a finger to help you. I leave tomorrow, at about 8 in the morning. Anyone who wants to can stand and wait for me at the gate. Namikaze was silent for a few minutes, carefully looking at all the shinobi present in the room. And then he added, looking carefully at Sai. If I were in the place of the particularly talkative, I would also think carefully. If I don't like something you say, there is a real chance that you will be left without a tongue. Sai wasn't ready to admit it even to himself, but he was really scared this strange blonde man was oozing danger. So much so that his knees involuntarily began to shake. Who the hell was he to scare a former member of Root ANBU? That's all, Naruto concluded. I'll come by again in the evening. This phrase was already intended for Tsunade. In an instant he was gone, leaving the shinobi confused and thinking about the day ahead. Unthinkable! How dare this impudent boy talk to us like that? Koharu was indignant. Now that she was far enough away from Naruto, she regained her ability to speak. This old woman was not ready to admit that she, who had seen a lot in her life, was scared. This was no longer the same stupid boy who had many times more arrogance than brains. He was dangerous, she understood that clearly. And these threats were not empty words as they once were. Konoha had made a truly dangerous enemy for itself. But where was Tsunade thinking when she suggested making a pact with this monster? And why didn't she consult with them? I'm more interested in the treaty that the Fifth intends to conclude. Hamura joined the conversation. He was concentrating on something. I'm afraid that after this, the village's policy will undergo significant changes. And they will clearly not be in our direction. The old woman agreed. The counselors looked at Danzo in unison, waiting for him to speak. They both considered him a leader, although they had not agreed among themselves. None of them wanted to give up their power, although they all said that they were only concerned about the good of the village. I don't think Naruto will change anything in this village. He's not interested in all of this. Danzo answered calmly, thinking about something of his own. Why did you decide that? You saw for yourself how he started to defend Tsunadeheim, Koharu said tensely. This boy is an order of magnitude smarter than before. He sees that it is easiest to fool the current Hokage, who is trying to find a way out of an almost hopeless situation. I also think that the boy is up to something. Hamura echoed, tapping his fingers on the tabletop. You see, right now you're completely wrong. This boy doesn't have any plan. I'll tell you more. It seems to me that he's ready to run away from here at any convenient opportunity. Why? This guy hasn't changed a bit. You just haven't been paying attention. This statement of his that he will kill anyone who insults him. A pathetic attempt to defend himself, a pathetic attempt to appear independent and fearless. But deep down, he is afraid. And this fear of his will help us a lot in the future. The advisors looked at the head of corn with distrust. Could he really have noticed so much in such a short period of time? Had he made a mistake? Had he drawn conclusions too hastily? Go on, Hamura said quietly. We must return the nine-tailed fox to the village. After that boy escaped from custody, The village's military strength has fallen compared to other great nations. You still haven't explained properly what happened then. That's the point. I don't know. I don't know what went wrong. Flashback. How so? Shouted the enraged Danzo. He had just learned that the attempt to extract the QB from the boy had ended extremely badly. The prison he was in was destroyed, and everyone who was there at that time had died. I was there when the seal was already starting to crumble. Everything was going great. Where did I go wrong? He thought feverishly. It turns out that Danzo himself could have died if he hadn't left the prison immediately after the start of the ritual. He had important things to do. Listen to the end, the ANBU muttered timidly. He wasn't sure that Danzo was able to perceive what he had heard adequately now, but if he had found out about it later, he would probably have been furious. So, a little more boldly, he continued, the Jinchuriki's body was not found. And we cleared the rubble, everyone who was there. Before they were buried, they were torn to pieces. At these words, Danzo shuddered as if he had been struck by electricity. In his usually calm eyes, shock was clearly visible. And even some fear. So QB. Is it possible that the nine-tailed beast took advantage of the boy's emotional instability and managed to break free? I doubt his body could withstand such a colossal load. The boy is definitely dead. But QB is free. Damn. That means the village's military might has weakened greatly. Damn. We need to think of something urgently. Other countries must not find out. End of flashback. No matter how, we must return the nine-tailed fox to the village. After the other villages found out about our attempt to hide the truth, Konoha's authority was seriously undermined. What surprised me the most, the kid turned out to be alive and kicking. I still don't understand what happened then. How are you going to bring back the nine-tailed fox? Hamura asked with concentration. You heard it too. It will kill anyone if it doesn't like something. If I were you, I wouldn't dwell on his words so much. I don't think he'll do what he said. Neither Tsunade nor Jiraiya will allow him to. Even though years have passed, the guy still cares what others will say about him. And considering that he has very few friends left, everyone's opinion is worth its weight in gold for him. You still haven't said what our plan is? We're listening carefully. There's no plan yet. Danzo responded. The easiest thing is to count on the moment. As soon as Naruto stumbles, I'll take advantage of it. But that could take years. Koharu exclaimed indignantly. I don't think so. He's young and impulsive, and we're smart enough. We won't lose. A light, playful breeze blew through the basement of the Root ANBU base. Some ANBU members were ready to swear that they heard a light laugh in that very gust of wind. Did they imagine it? Once again, Naruto sits on the face of the fourth Hokage, a barely noticeable smile on his face. Did these decrepit old men really think he hadn't changed a bit? They were probably just developing senile dementia if they really thought Naruto would make the same mistake a second time. When Namikaze entered the gates of this village, he clearly understood that he was stepping into enemy territory, where he would hardly be welcomed. Although, it was probably even funny to see how their hatred turned into fear. I won't let myself be walked all over again. These old people think they're the smartest. They're deeply mistaken. Wait until I make a mistake. Ha ha ha. Well, let them wait. It won't happen. Suddenly, behind him he heard a quiet rustling sound, so similar to sand. It was not difficult to guess who had come to him. It's a beautiful night tonight, isn't it, Gaara? He said with a smile, looking into his friend's attentive eyes. He turned away from scanning Naruto with his eyes and also looked at the moon, which was so clearly visible from this cliff. He sighed heavily and sat down next to Namikaze. You know, today in the Hokage's office it suddenly occurred to me that asking you wasn't the best idea. Why? Come on, stop playing dumb, Naruto. I saw your reaction. I just remembered something. I don't want these memories to make you feel worse. Your lifespan has already been significantly shortened. Hey, I hope you didn't tell anyone about this, huh? It's a big secret. No. I don't want to look at their printed faces either. I won't die right now. But when I'm 25. I think I really will be dead by then. There's nothing I can do about it. Actually, I didn't want to take this on, but the contract might help me with something. And I suddenly wanted to help a pregnant woman myself. A small child, after all, is not to blame for anything. And seeing that Gaara had already opened his mouth to speak, he added, "No need to say anything. I have only one request for you. Can Temari come with me? I'll feel calmer with her." After thinking for a moment, Gaara agreed. "That's great. Now let's just look at the sky. It's always so beautiful and carefree. Nothing in this world can make it change." A peaceful smile settled on the faces of two people who were so similar, but at the same time so different from each other. From the author, I wouldn't be surprised if you all hate me fiercely. In the end, there was no update for more than a month. I don't even know how to justify it. I hope you at least like it. "I want to kill them," Naruto repeated to himself. It was necessary to ruin his mood so much from the very fucking morning. And it all started with a meeting with his old acquaintances. Around 9 in the morning, the blonde man was calmly walking to the main gate, complaining that he had to get up so early. "Damn, maybe I'll just forget it. I'll go and sleep for a couple more hours, and then I can hit the road." The thoughts flowed lazily through his head. Already actually thinking about going back to bed, Namikaze heard someone screaming. Yes, you read that right, not screaming, but screaming. Things got even worse when the pink-haired something saw him. She immediately jumped up to him, grabbed his shoulders with pincers, and started screaming even louder than before. "Motherfuck!" Sakura screamed at the top of her lungs. "Why the hell are you late?" The eye twitched nervously. Then again. Then Naruto pulled himself together and calmly wiped a drop of drool from his face. "Kami, could I ever like someone like her, huh?" Namikaze thought, feeling rage boiling up inside him. But outwardly he remained completely calm. "You're spitting." Cold blue eyes and an indifferent voice. That's the answer to her rudeness. "What?" Sakura exclaimed furiously and swung her arm to slap the impudent man with all her considerable strength. Imagine her surprise when the blonde, who in the past had been as dumb as a brick and had only ever offered to go on a date, grabbed her wrist without blinking. She was shocked. It would have been fine if he had simply dodged, but to intercept a blow so skillfully, which Sakura had learned from Tsunade herself. And his cold eyes still look at her calmly. A split second and his second hand squeezes her neck hard. "You're annoying. Who gave you the right to raise a hand against me?" A contemptuous sneer appeared on his face. "What is it, Sakura? Did you really think that I would let you kick me on your stupid whim?" She couldn't answer. She couldn't breathe. Her body wouldn't move. She was scared. She'd always mocked him before, and now he could take her life with one wave of his hand. "No!" the pink-haired girl screamed in her mind. Panic and fear overwhelmed her. "I don't want to die!" But suddenly everything stopped. She opened her teary eyes and looked at Naruto with fear. He was still standing next to her. Temari was holding his hand, which had recently been squeezing her neck so tightly. She, unlike everyone else present at this scene, was absolutely calm. "Naruto, there is no need to kill them while we are within the village. Be patient for a while, and then you can do whatever you want." She patted his blonde hair in an unusually gentle way. Unusual for everyone, but not for them. For her, Gaara and Naruto were two little brothers. "Temari-chan, did Gaara finally tell you?" He was completely transformed. The indifference disappeared from his voice, and the same warmth with which Namikaze once looked at the inhabitants of this village appeared in his eyes. "Yes. He said you'd be too bored alone. And I thought it would be nice for me to have some fun too." "I see," the blonde said with a smile. "Why did you want to hit him?" This question was already directed at Sakura, who was still breathing heavily. "He's an hour late," Hanuro exclaimed hoarsely, but immediately fell silent, feeling the cold gaze of blue eyes on her again. She became scared again. "He said that he was going to leave at 8, she finished in a whisper. Hearing the last sentence, Temari laughed loudly. "Naruto, at 8 in the morning, ha ha ha, Kami, what jokes you have!" Still laughing and theatrically wiping away a non-existent tear, the blonde exhaled. But he said so himself. Ino, having somehow recovered from the shock, joined the conversation. She did not understand at all how the Kazekage's sister could stand so calmly next to Naruto. It was obvious to her that he was a complete psycho. "Who cares what he says? Temari said instructively. You can't even get him out of bed before 9. It's amazing that you even got up. How I want to go back to bed, Namikaze exhaled and yawned demonstratively. He had already calmed down. Naruto. Konohamaru's joyful voice was heard as he ran towards the gate. You finally came. Well, I promise, the blonde answered with a slight smile. Why the hell are you late? Ino immediately pounced on him. Irritation was seething inside her, mixed with fear, which she quickly blamed on someone other than Naruto. Sakura gasping for breath in his arms would remain in her memory for a long time. Huh! Sarutobi was too happy and didn't pay much attention to her. Naruto came to me yesterday and said that he probably won't be able to get up until at least 8:30, so you shouldn't expect him before 9. Why the hell didn't you tell the others? I told Kakashi-sensei. He said he would tell the others. The guy was a little confused. And he told. Joyful cries were heard. Looking back, Naruto saw something green moving towards the gate. His right eye began to twitch nervously again. The ones who had fled were Guy and his student Lee, as he had thought. Kakashi, who had appeared out of nowhere, was already sitting at the gate. Asuma was seen hurrying towards the gate. Having glanced at the entire crowd, Namikaze mentally slapped himself on the forehead. In vain he said yesterday that everyone who wants can go. Oh, how in vain. There were Kakashi and Sakura, and Guy with his team, and Ino, and Cheiji, and Shikamaru, and that strange guy Sai, with whom Naruto decided to be careful. He was from Root. You never know what Danzo could do, and that's only part of it. Are they really going to go with the whole village? Namikaze thought, feeling anger boiling up inside him again. Hey, why are you so mad, Naruto? Kurama's voice was heard. Nothing, I'm just wondering how long they'll test my patience. And I told you. The nine-tailed one began instructively. I know. I'm an idiot. It's easier to agree with this red-haired ass than to argue. Naruto realized this a long time ago. Taking another look at everyone gathered, Namikaze exhaled. I wonder when he managed to hold his breath and, without saying a word, walked through the gate. Brother Naruto, wait for me! Konohamaru immediately exclaimed and ran after the blonde. The rest also left the borders of Konoha. I want to kill them! This phrase has been spinning around in his head for about half an hour. It cost him quite a bit of nerves. So far he hasn't broken anyone's neck. But Kami, how he wants to. If the first 2 hours of the journey passed relatively calmly, no one wanted to end up in Sakura's place, then after that time everyone relaxed. Shouts began about how they were moving too slowly, that they should abandon this weakling Naruto and move themselves, etc. It was becoming more and more difficult to ignore them. The only ones who walked calmly were Asuma with Shikamaru and Temari. The latter simply knew her friend too well and did not want to irritate him even more. But later she would definitely talk to him. The last time they saw each other was about 3 months ago, and she wanted to know where he had been. But in the end, Temari couldn't stand it first. Other people's screams also irritated her quite a bit. It's amazing. The Kazekage sister began coldly. That for everything you just said, Naruto hasn't killed you yet. He could. Everyone froze at these words. But you've driven even me crazy. If you don't shut up this second, I'll chop you into pieces myself. Do you have enough strength? Sai couldn't help but mock. He felt no fear in front of her. Believe me, you should be afraid. Naruto exhaled, standing behind him. When did he? The brunette thought in shock, immediately jumping away from Namikaze. Just a second ago he was calmly walking forward, despite the fact that we had all stopped. But now, in a moment, his breath tickles my neck.